Today was the day we had all been waiting for. We were heading for Island Peak. From Chakhung, we continued along the valley, across rocky riverbeds, and along ridge lines. We started in the fog of the morning, which soon cleared to a fine day. The mountains were closing in all around us, with views still impressive in all directions. Island Peak appeared ahead of us. I think we all had a moment, anticipating what is in store for us in the early hours of tomorrow morning. Once at camp, the snow started. We still had to spend an hour training with the climbing gear before having dinner and an early night. With some light snow and a dark sky, we set off for Island Peak in the early hours of the morning. By the time we got to the snow and the morning light, we had already been walking for 6 hours. I was exhausted and not entirely with it. Fortunately, we were all tied together to prevent any disasters. The summit loomed up ahead of us. We could see a tiny speck of the first person for the day, returning back down the face of the ice wall. At the base of the final climb, we had some time to rest and gather our thoughts before the final push to the summit. we continued to walk out of the valley today. There were many people and animals on the track, many going in the opposite direction. The weather started well, but by lunchtime had turned a little sour. It was cold, and it was raining lightly. Retracing our steps from last week, we appreciated a number of familiar landmarks. By the end of the day, we arrived at our lodgings just short of Tengboche. The steep climb up to Tengboche was rewarded by some early morning entertainment. A chopper arrived to deliver supplies to the monks that live at the monastery. From Tengboche we headed back down to the river and morning tea at the funky Tenga bakery. Scenery is becoming much more familiar now as we close in on Namche Bazaar. Just out of Namche, our path was blocked by a herd of musk deer. After a well-deserved rest day at Namche Bazaar, we set off down the mountain to the valley below. We saw more people today than we had possibly seen the entire trip, and most of them were heading up to Namche. This made it quite hard going in places where the footing was slippery and track narrow. We stopped at the small village of Tuk Tuk, where we saw the owner picking vegetables from the garden for our lunch. We arrived safely at Phak Ding by the end of the day, staying at the Shangri-La Lodge for the night. Only a short walk to complete today to get back to Lukla. The track was much quieter today, but the going was still slow as we made our way back up the hill. The last climb was probably the hardest of all, with the body only just having the required energy. We arrived back in Lukla before lunch, with the rest of the day already booked in for some well-earned rest. The final day of our trekking holiday has come, leaving Lukla, the world's most dangerous airport, with clear skies and perfect flying weather. The flight back to Kathmandu takes only an hour. That same trip took me a week and 8 hours of driving just a few short weeks ago. So many amazing experiences and challenges along this trip. Definitely one of the most incredible adventures of my life so far. Until next time.